What is going on, everybody? Today we're back with a user asked question. One of the fans of this channel who is a subscriber and comments, he actually got a hold of my email and he sent me a email with a hair system problem that he was having. So in this video, we're going to address that. We're going to take a look at the actual email, look at some pictures, and then kind of try to do some analysis together. So this one right here is from Jimmy Monroe. He says, about a year ago, I got into hair systems through a place called New Image Hair Clinic. Going in, I had no knowledge of hair systems and how they worked. This place marketed it as eye hair and exclusively sold only at their clinic. While waiting for my hair to grow out and get my initial system put on, I started doing my research and saw this has been around some time and not just exclusively there. Not a good sign right from the get-go that they're probably lying about, being exclusive. The only provider in the world is doing that kind of thing to make it sound like they have something that is actually more scarce than it actually is, right? It's a common sales tactic. It's kind of been a nightmare with them, and this week I'm going back for my 4th unit and hopefully it works out. The last 3 units with them have had issues. First one started thinning within a month. Second one, hairline wasn't right. It was like a widow's peak. Third one came darker and more dense. But through them all, it seems it is always a struggle getting them blended in. They say it's the systems, but after learning more on how this works, I'm leaning towards it's the way they cut and blend. Attached are some pictures of what I'm talking about. Any insight from you would be appreciated. Thank you for your time, Jake. Well, thank you, man, for actually sending me an email, reaching out and wanting to have a conversation about this, number one. But number two, letting me actually put this on the YouTube channel so that way we can all learn from this together. So let's first talk about this place and some of the problems that you're having. Now, if you've had 4 systems within a year, that's not a terrible amount. That's a good amount. That means that each of them is lasting you about 3 months potentially, but it does sound like you're having problems, right? So I'm looking at your email right now. I'm reading it and it says, let's take the first one. The first one started thinning within a month. That is a issue that you're going to find with some units, some providers that do not have quality control. Keep in mind that hair systems, they're not cookie cutter, like, you get one and they're always the same. When you're dealing with large scale manufacturing and production, there is quality control that has to be done. Look up 6 Sigma, which is a way to eliminate things and mistakes in businesses that companies try to utilize. Unfortunately, some of the hair system businesses, like the Wild Wild West, some of that quality control is not there. And if you're getting that system from a actual hair system like club, if you will, that's installing it, they're doing the maintenance, they really should have their vendor, their manufacturer vetted so that you're not having these issues. Part of the premium that you are paying with them, which, make no mistake about it, you are paying a premium to work with them, is for the reliability, for having access to hair systems quicker than you might have with direct-to-consumer, knowledge, education, service within, customer service, right? So if something goes wrong, that you can call them up. If you're continually having problems, and we'll get into this in a second, that's a sign you're not getting what you're paying for from these hair clubs, these hair system clubs that are basically taking more money. They're providing you with a service. Well, you're not getting everything that you should be getting for what you're probably paying. The second one, they said the hairline wasn't right. It was like a widow's peak. Okay, so this is a completely different problem, and that could be a couple different things. They could have cut it wrong, right? They could have cut the front wrong. They could have ordered the wrong unit, or potentially they did not have your unit in stock that was supposed to be there, and they just tried to give you a new one that was meant for somebody else. Especially if you have a common color, that's a possibility that actually did happen. Either way, not okay, especially not without your confirmation, not without your recognition that they're going to do that. You don't completely change someone's hair system, hairstyle without them knowing. So that's not okay. So now we're kind of at 2 strikes, if you will. Things that should not have happened that happened. So the third one, you said it came in darker and more dense. Okay, so if they had a conversation with you and said like, hey, I think we need to go a little bit darker of a hair system, or hey, we need to go a little bit denser to match your hair system a little bit better, or you asked for it, once again, this should not be happening. Like the first time that I read this email, my gut intuitive instinct is with these last 2 points around changing the hairline and also darker and more dense, is that they're basically giving you back stock that they have on hand that for whatever reason they can't get rid of, or they had someone cancel and they were like, oh yeah, this is good enough, and he won't know. Anybody with half a brain is going to know when they're not wearing the right hair system for themselves. You've studied this stuff. You've been educated now. You've been watching this channel, probably other channels, and you see how things should and should not be. You've seen myself go through struggles. You've seen other people go through struggles. These particular struggles where the hairline is different, where you're getting a darker and more dense unit, that is something that potentially could be a quality control issue. But if it's noticeably darker, like shades and shades darker, and also like noticeably more dense, not like it's a little bit more dense or slightly less dense, which could be quality control. If it's noticeably more dense, that sounds like either they have a really crappy manufacturer or they're giving you the runaround in some way. That was my first instinct, is it felt like they were giving you the runaround, especially when they're marketing eye hair as this exclusive thing that only they have. I'm just not getting a good feeling from this provider, and it doesn't feel like they're honest. It doesn't feel like they have the heart of the teacher that we often talk about on this channel, and who you want to look for when you're partnering with somebody if you're going to go that route. So now let's take a look at some of the pictures, shall we? So Jimmy was kind enough to send us some of these pictures. So this is the first one right here. We can see that there is a little bit of a line. This right here is probably the least noticeable out of all the pictures. I do notice it, and I know what you're saying. Let's move to the next one though. Okay, so this right here is a massive, massive problem. Like, I'm not even sure 100% what's happening in this picture or why it's happening. My first guess was that they are completely cutting the hair wrong. Maybe they are actually basically like they could be even cutting the hair system wrong when they're making the template, and they're actually cutting the hairs super short on the sides, basically because they're cutting the template along with the hairs. When you're cutting a hair template for your hair system, when you're cutting it out, you have to be careful not to do that, because you will completely ruin the realistic effect that a hair system has. You need the length right at the edges to blend in. That looks like that could be the issue. It also, like, it looks so thin. I honestly, I don't know. I think we probably have some barbers, some stylists down in the comments on this right here. But what I can tell you is that it's 100% not right. Like, it looks like it's elevated, like it's on top of your natural bio hair. My question back to you would be, can you actually get your fingers underneath it? You shouldn't be able to get it underneath it. It shouldn't be riding on your bio hair. It should be on your scalp that perfectly syncs up with your hair, especially if you're paying. When we do this at home, like sometimes it's hard to install and sometimes we kind of get it over our bio hair. You shouldn't be having that problem with someone that's installing the system for you. It should not be a problem. Once again, we're seeing the thinning of the hair system right here. It's a little bit blurry, so I'm going to move on. But we can see we're looking at the back of your scalp, and I think this is actually the edge of the tape. The edge of the hair system, because I see right here, this is your forehead, so we're looking at behind you. So I think that this is where your hair system ends. Doesn't look right. And then right here, you're showcasing the thinning of the hair system, which is definitely noticeable. And if that happened within 1 month, that's not okay. So it could be a quality control issue on that. But dude, I would run for the hills. Like, everything that you've shown me, if this is going on for a year, this is not an isolated incident. You've had strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. You know the expression, right? It says, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me thrice. I don't even know if there's any third part of that statement, but really you shouldn't be getting fooled by someone 3 times, let alone 4. I think you need to be moving away from this as a provider. It doesn't look like they're giving you the quality, the customer service. They're not giving you a lot of things that you could be getting other places, and you could take your money and go somewhere else, or start doing more of this work by yourself and get a far, far better result. I'm sorry to tell you that, man. Because, you know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news and tell you, you know, you kind of need to fix this problem, but I think you really do. I think you need to actually go and get this resolved. But here's the good news. At the end of the day, you're going to be able to have a much better product. You're going to feel better about yourself. And, you know, that's what we're here for. Everyone, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell down below if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy talking about hair systems, hair loss, and all the problems and challenges on the way to becoming a better, more fulfilled man. And we will see you soon.